stopped. Um, out. Oh, my camera's dirty. The cabbage is gone. That's these plants here. Seed cabbage. And there. Yes, we've got quite beautiful weather. Well, so I want to talk about being prepared. And I feel like being prepared is an important part of our lives. I think a lot of us think on preparedness as storage and buying things we need and, et cetera, et cetera. But I think one of the most important parts of preparedness is knowledge and the ability to do things. And not so much book knowledge. I'm talking about actual practical, useful knowledge, like skills. The practical skills of everyday life that often get taken for granted, that at this point are in society, machines do a lot of the jobs that people used to do in the old days. I sit sometimes and think back to 1923, just 100 years ago, how this world was and how it is now. I have to admit it makes me feel sad. You see the pictures of 100 years ago and society as it was and as it is now has changed so much. It's almost hard to imagine that 100 years brought such a change on. But it did. And I guess as we look at the changes that have been brought about in the last 100 years, some ways, many would argue that they're good, and many would argue they're bad. But I say overall, I think the world has changed more in the last 100 years than it did in the last 1,000. In tradition, in lifestyle, in food. And I think now people are so disconnected from the reality of life. It's becoming sure dangerous. And it's hard for me because I try to talk to people about this, and it lays on my heart the fact that so many people are woefully unprepared for life or real life without the world or the system of this world. And we look at the animals and the plants. We need to preserve the plants and save the seeds and plant the plants and take care of them, or they won't survive. Same with a lot of animals. If unless humans were taking care of them, they would be lost. And I think it's important that we maintain and are prepared to grow our own seed, raise our own seed, raise our animals. And I think what's happened is the focus has gotten into getting a job, making money, and buying the goods we need, and having a comfortable life. Where in my mind, the focus should be to see how much we can produce on our farm with our own land, and then see if we have to trade. Can we trade with others what we have? And I think what's lacking in this day and age is community. I think that's more, in my mind, it's more of an issue than a lot of people think it is. The lack of community, the lack of other people to work with, to trade with, to share information. I was if any of you guys got a question as I'm going along, just comment, and I'll try to respond to it. I think community is very important, and ever since I got banned from the Amish, you feel that lack of community, and it's something I know. That an online presence or an online chat or talking on the phone, that helps, but it never replaces the actual person to person. How would you say it? The relationship of people talking. Jonathan Gale, please. David, still, please. Match up with the Todd Hop. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry for them. They were having a little problem with each other. They're supposed to be sleeping. I feel like I wish I could sit down with a group of people and discuss the things they think are most necessary for being prepared. What do you guys think? What are your ideas? I feel like I have some ideas and some thoughts, but I feel like it's like there's something. How do I explain it? I have this feeling that's like, you ever got that feeling you just can't seem to decide what it is, but you feel something's going to happen, or there's something coming. It's hard to explain like something's coming, and you feel like you're not prepared. I think I've different times in my life felt that way, and usually I just try to keep on working and try to ignore it. But I think that's good in a way to think about our past and our future, and think where this way of life we're living now will bring us. Will it bring us to a better condition, or will it bring us to a worse condition? And I'm starting to really wonder sometimes if a lot of people just don't want to think. They don't want to consider the fact that the way they're living might be detrimental to them or their children or their grandchildren. And don't want to change either. I had heard stories. There was in my mind, a story oftentimes be interpreted different. But I heard a story once, a guy talking about the Indian tribes of Central America. And they had gone down and were studying these tribes. And they had good teeth and healthy feet and wide jaws and healthy people. And then this tribe became modernized. They got Western culture, started eating junk food and the food of the West. And within 2 generations, they said they had bad teeth, foot problems, and lots of health problems. Hey, Jerome, I've always said, if you look at that story that I heard, I don't know if it's real, but they were saying that was that the way we live affects what our children and our grandchildren become. And I think it's important that we try to live in a way that we can pass on goodness and maintain good life, and then pass it on to others. But so, what are your ideas on being prepared? Anybody got any ideas? I'll wait for your responses. Let's see, we've got Jerome is here. I'm thinking this year I'm gonna try to focus on growing a good garden. I'm gonna plant some potatoes, cabbage. I want to plant. I want to try to grow as much of my own food as I can. Green beans. I grow my tobacco. I don't know if I ever showed you guys, but that's my tobacco I make. I let it sit. I was it rotting or curing on top of the oven shelf, and it changes a little bit, turns it dark. And you know what I noticed is with the tobacco you make yourself, I'd say it doesn't mess your mouth up like when you buy it from the store. It's more of a natural. It's got a more earthy flavor to it. Yeah, so my goal is this year to produce all my own tobacco, almost my own food. And my biggest hurdle is right now is I need to find a way to grow my own chicken feed and animal feed. That's that I can do. Last year I tried sunflowers. It did reasonably well, bore a lot of heads, and then the birds come in. And I think we had every bird from 20 miles around, it seemed like, trying to eat sunflower seeds. They ate so many of them, we didn't get a lot. We got some, but sunflowers seemed to be a nice crop, but it seemed to be a crop that was also attacked by every bird in the area. I want to try milo, sorghum, but I haven't got a seed yet. I need to find some seed. I'm looking still. And I'm hoping to find me some short stuff that stays, I remember as a boy seeing these fields in Wisconsin of sorghum about 2-3 foot high, just full of seed. And I really think that make good chicken food. That type of sorghum. I don't know where to get a hold of it, but I have my sorghum. I have gets really tall, like it gets long, tall stalk. But that short sorghum, I think it'd be easier to harvest overall, and you just cut it, hang it upside down in a barn, let it dry good, and it should make good chicken food. I mean, the chickens could eat it right off the stalks, or you could thresh it out and feed it to them that way. And I was thinking of maybe trying milo, but again, I need to get a hold of milo seed. I was thinking I probably could go down and buy some bird seed. And I think a lot of times there's milo in the bird seed, and maybe just plant some of that. See if it comes. I remember as a boy growing milo. Hey Pete, the plants would get between 10 a foot high. They were this little round. I think maybe it was millet. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe it was millet. Yeah, little tiny seeds, tiny round seeds, like a heavy grime. I did as a boy. Yeah, back when I was younger, I played around with the planting birdseed. And it seemed like it was a pretty quick grower. And I tried buckwheat a couple of years ago. We had buckwheat. For some reason, we had Himalayan buckwheat, beautiful flowers. Didn't get many seeds from it. And the white buckwheat, it seemed like the season here was also a little short for it. It's like it didn't quite mature before the frost hit. And that's kind of hard on the seeds. So my options this year but if I can get my chicken feed to where I can feed my chickens, I can have some grain for my animals, a little bit of grain for the animals, and get my own hay. My own food. I feel like those three things I can live better. Both corn and sunflowers. Yeah, see, corn. Our season's so short here. we can only grow a very short seed corn. I did sweet corn and did pretty decent. We have a short sweet corn here. But it seemed like with corn, I have to crack it or grind it to feed the birds. And I'm thinking if I had a millet or milo or one of the smaller seeds, I think they can eat it without grinding it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe they can just eat it right, grind it. And same with sunflower seeds. You can put whole sunflower seeds into the chickens and they'll eat it. I noticed sunflowers actually do pretty good in clay. They seem to be now last year was the first year I had sunflower seeds that made it up here that got right before frost hit. I tried every year to grow these mammoth gray stripes, and every year they would not be ready before frost would hit. I remember as a boy having these heads of sunflower seeds. You could set on top of a bushel basket. They were so big. And I was trying to grow those mammoth gray stripes, and I just could not get even I planted early in the greenhouse and started to plant and set them out. Still did not get enough time to get the seed head right before frost would hit. And but this last year I planted a different kind of sunflower. Huh? Yeah, they cost too much. Different kind of sunflower, and those matured before the frost hit, which was nice. Like I said, to the birds. I'd say, like I said, every bird within 20 miles was here eating sunflowers, and that was an issue. I tried bagging some of them. I bagged some, and the wife bagged some, and the ones she bagged, she put a hole in the top, and I think she thought she was helping air it. And what happened when it rained, the water come in through the hole, and the bottom of the bag full of water, and most of them rotted. Now, all the ones I done a little later, and I had to put a hole in them. They seem to have made it through the bird's attack. I mean, there was times you look there and there's so many birds. The plants look more black with birds than they were green. And the cat didn't even scare them off. You shoot the gun and they'd fly away, and then a little bit later be right back again. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way life is in this world. That everything is competing for food. I mean, I know we have the bugs to deal with, and birds. I've heard people say, "Oh, just plant enough for the birds." Well, I don't know. You have to plant a whole lot to keep all them birds fed. There were so many; they come from all over the place. It's hard to say where they all came from, because you normally don't see that many birds. I mean, there's a few birds here and there, but there's not hordes of them like that. Hordes of starlings or sparrows coming in. Normally, there's just like, I think this spring, we have one pair trying nests in the barn, and it's one of the first years there's actually been a pair that I haven't gone after. Usually, I try to keep them starlings away, and we had. I've just been so busy, I haven't got to it. I don't have a scope on my gun, and for me, without a scope, I have a hard time shooting a starling with a 22 at a distance with a scope. I mean, I brushed them before, got lucky and hit one, but I don't like the idea of just wasting a lot of ammo trying to shoot a starling 22 without a scope. So I need to find me a scope so I can sight them starlings in better. I used to be where starlings get shy too, because if you shoot at them or hit one of them, they remember it, and they're watching for that gun. And what I used to do, I used to set the gun in the window, and where I knew the starling was going to sit, I'd set the gun right on the spot, and then just wait till they landed and come up and get them. That's with a scope. They were pretty good. In some ways, I don't know why I hated starlings so much. I've never actually seen that many starlings in the garden eating the vegetables. So I don't know. I know people say they don't like them, but then what I've noticed is I don't see the starlings eating the plants or seeds. I see sparrows, the house sparrows, they'll eat the seeds. And birds that I mostly see doing it are either grackles or blackbirds, some kind of blackbird. And I'm suspecting they're of the grackle family. It looks like it to me. They look like similar to red-winged blackbirds, but they weren't red-winged blackbirds. Maybe cowbirds. There might have been cowbirds because the cowbird has raccoons, possums, skunks. That's interesting because up here, it's so cold here. I haven't seen a raccoon. I haven't seen one single raccoon or possum on our farm. Now I've shot a few skunks, and normally you notice them pretty quick because you smell them. And skunks see here a lot. But coons and opossums, I just think the weather's too cold here. They don't like winter, so they kind of stay away. We had in Missouri when I was down as a boy, lots and lots of coons and opossums all the time, trying to eat our chickens. And now here, the only thing I've had trouble with is the crows, or the ravens, trying to chicken eggs. The ravens sneaking into the chicken house and breaking eggs and eating them. But no coons, no opossums. And I've only seen 3 skunks. I think I got 3. So, skunks I know some people have said they have issues with skunks, but thankfully we haven't had. But birds has been a big one. They say that I've never had an oat field yet, but they say those sandhill cranes will come in, the whole herd of them, and they can strip out an acre of oats real quick. You get 200 or 300 of them sandhill cranes in your field at once. They can pretty much take the crop, and there's enough of them up here, enough of them sandhill cranes up here to do that in the fall. We had right now you only see pairs here and there. Like in our field, there's probably just one pair. Have their animals: foxes, coyotes, fish, deer, bear. Well, I know people say they have foxes. Never seen one here. I've always wondered why this place. I don't know if it's because of how it's set up on a hill. I know that with the dog being here, the animals feel like they don't have a place to hide. I'm not sure, but the neighbors said the fox were big chickens, and they had foxes. There's some foxes on the highway on the other side of the highway. There's over there, and then if you go west of us, there are 2 farms complaining about fox eating their chickens, and they're building these big pens to keep the chickens stalking their dogs. Yeah, I got to talk about a fox. I had a fox one time in Belize. It was taking my chicks out right in front of my dog. Yeah, I feel dogs, probably the dogs from there in our place that I saw. But the neighbors on both sides have had bears in their property. And I think once when they hear that dog bark, smells that dog, they're not too interested in coming in contact with a Doberman. And when I did back when I had the female dog, I used to go and take her out to the hayfield in the back. And whenever she'd get in trouble with a coyote or any animal, she would just run it. And I'd see her a couple of times running coyotes. She's pretty good at tracking, and she'd find them, and then she'd run them. Our male dogs and roosters. Really? Yeah, one rooster. That mean one. He lost his voice. And how he sounds like a banty rooster whenever he crows. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know, did he get whacked in the throat and lost his voice or what? He's pretty deep, deep crow. And then I noticed it was yesterday or the day before. When you hear him crow, it sounds like a banty. I don't know what happened. He might have been kicked by somebody, or maybe he got, who knows, something stuck in his throat. It sounds kind of funny for a big rooster to be crowing like a banty, but I kind of wish. I know guinea hens. They when they see stuff, they scream, and I think the probably the biggest thing I say about our animals actually killed the animals were owls. I lost chickens, rabbits, most likely some cats to owls, or possibly eagles. I don't know if they're eagles, but I know owls are stalking around at night. If you leave the rabbits out, they don't last long. I suspect it's
White rabbits.
white rabbits. Yeah. Hey, Dix, do you want the hotspot? Please. Well, so has anybody got anything they think's a good idea to be prepared? Let me see if we got anything. Pete said. Yeah, there are some coyotes. There are some coyotes around here, but I've never seen them on the place here. I think they usually stay back on the back 30. I'll hear them screaming, yelling, hunting at night, but I never saw them on the place up here. I feel like the coyotes here are a little smaller than the Missouri ones. The Missouri coyotes were larger; they're more like dogs, and here they're a small coyote. They're not big. So my next project I'm going to work on. I started cutting lumber for it. Is I want to build a windmill. Have all the essentials. The roots on nice house. Yeah. I've never worked in an ice house before. I know a lot of the Amish used to have them. We get plenty of ice here. We wouldn't even have to go to the lake to dig it. We could just build forms, pour water in, let it freeze, put it in the ice house. We never have to go out to no pond and cut it. We could just put water in forms. It'd probably be easier that way, but I personally don't care much for ice. I'm sure my wife likes it, but I never was a, what do you call it? I understand. I guess if, like, for me, we milk the cow twice a day. We get fresh milk twice a day, so we don't have to cool milk. And then we don't have a lot of stuff that spoils, really, because she cooks every day. Fresh. I prefer fresh cooked food. I mean, I know some people like to store their food in ice, but in the winter we have 6 months of ice. So if it's cold, you just put it outside. You don't have to worry about having ice. And in the summer, I guess if you want ice cream. No, I think it are very important to store your root crops. Our basement works as a root cellar. We have a big enough basement that we can store a lot of stuff in there. And it's not really damp, but it's not exactly dry either. So it seems to be more on I'd say on the scale for storing potatoes, carrots, well, and cabbage. This last year is the first year I had cabbage and made it through. And I suspect it's because I hung the cabbage from the ceiling instead of putting it on the floor. I tried burying it. I tried putting it under straw and burying it. I tried putting it in dirt and burying it outside. It was rotted. Tried it on the floor. It rotted. When I hung it from the ceiling, it made it through. So I think the ceiling hanging method, just pull out by the roots, hang it up, root up in the air, was the best method for storing it for us. I don't know if anybody else has experience with that. I'd like to know better ways, because it seemed like there's always ways I can learn. On beets, it seemed like the beets seemed to do well in storage, just in bags. They didn't shrivel up or nothing. So we have enough moisture in there to keep the beets from shriveling. Carrots, I don't know. Our carrots, we had issues with them drying up a little bit. I think if I put it in sand, it'd probably have been better off. Some people say sawdust, but what's been interesting is the last 3 years, our carrots haven't frozen in the garden. The ones that we left in the gardens were all right in the spring. So that means there was enough snow on the ground. The ground never froze enough to freeze them.
And you mulched them. It probably would work anyway.
Well, if you mulch the carrots, I think they'd make it through for sure. So one of my ideas, I'm going to build this windmill. I'm working on it now. I'm working on cutting the wood for it. I want to build a wooden structure, 3 stories high. Over ledge. So you don't have a basement. I want to build a 3-story structure high, and then start to bring it up into a point from probably 10 to 8.6 to 4, and then try to build me one of them Dutch style windmills. Because I really think the way our wind blows here, we have a lot of wind. I think it could produce, Oh yeah, it's windy. Most days it's somewhat windy here. We can produce a lot of power from wind, and I think it'd be one of the better ways to remedy our issue with gas dependence, or get rid of our gas dependence by using the wind. See, most generators, they have the electric motors on the back of the generator, and those things spin and they spin the generator and they produce electricity right on the windmill. And my idea is to make the windmill and run a shaft. Take that shaft from a belt to the generator, and that way my generator is not up in the air. I can run a bigger generator, maybe more of them as one. I mean, I was thinking I could hook up 3, 4, 5 alternators in tandem row, in a row to run all at the same time. I could produce more power. I don't know. It's just I was thinking, I think it'd be in a lot of ways easier to maintain if I keep the generators inside the building down, and I just use the wind power as a shaft drive and take that power in through the shaft. In a storm, wouldn't be bad. And if the storm's real bad, you're likely to freeze up your generator or ice up or blow too hard. But no, when I was in Belize, I think I had the method I used there was a differential from a Ford truck, and it was just took the wheel, the hub and welded pedals onto it on 1 1/4 inch metal pipes, and then put the pedals on, and then you could adjust the bolts. How I explain it? It was the pipe with the sheet metal piece of metal, and that had a concave bow on it, and then you could adjust your bottom with a screw. You turn it to where you wanted it, and you tighten the screw up, and it would hold your so when the wind would catch it, turn nicely. And I found out the less pedals you had on a windmill, the faster it would turn. In a way, I thought so. It seemed like the speed of the turning, if there was so many pedals on it, it would slow it down. And so when I first started with that, I had a thing full of pedals, probably I think it was 12. And I took a bunch of them off. I brought it down to like just a small half the number. I took one out, and it actually spun faster with less wind. The weight, I think it was the drag and the weight, and maybe it's because of how I built it. The drag was too heavy. Too high. Mangoes. Yes, I have thought of that. In fact, we had bought seed before the house fire. We had bought seed for beets. We bought seeds, and I was going to grow some. I just haven't got my seed again yet. I need to get some more seed. I think it'd be a good idea for. We did, but most of them burned because they were up in my suitcase under the bed. I had bought 3 kinds of beet seed, and my plan was to grow them for pig, cow, bigger beets, mangles. I'd wanted to grow them for the pigs and cows, possibly the horses. But I need to get hold of some seed again. My biggest problem is I lost a lot. I lost half my seed at least, what I had. And it's been
probably a little trial pack of the giant sugar beets.
Right.
Do anything.
I think the main thing is for me is this money's been an issue for buying stuff. I can't just go out and buy all the stuff I want because it costs too much. No, if I can, I want to try to raise my own seed, and hopefully in the future I'll have it available for other people. You know, I want to try to grow enough seed. I want to try to grow enough seed that I can have enough to share with other people, trade or barter or sell. And right now, I got sweet corn seed. If someone wants sweet corn, I have about a half a bucket full of short season sweet corn, and it's
the importance of growing at least 100 years.
What's that? What did you say?
They have to grow about at least 100 stalks. You said if they're going to grow.
Oh, you mean for seed? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about
On corn seed. My wife was saying I should probably mention that it's best to plant about 100 years for seed to make sure you have a diverse genetic background, because corn, if it gets oftentimes too genetically isolated, it won't do as well. And best to plant it in blocks, not rows. Or you plant rows in blocks, not long rows. It pollinates better. You know, but there's something about that corn I really have always wondered. And it was having to do, I mentioned this before, I don't know how any of you heard it. When I was in Ohio, the Amish used to plant red ears, or they would save every year red kerneled corn, and they would plant it into the yellow cornfields, just mix it into the seed, maybe 2 or 3 years. And for some reason, that red corn stayed red. And I've always wondered, why did that red corn stay red and not cross with the yellow? Because most corn, it crosses. And either it was flowering at a different time. And another thing that confused me is normally if you have one stalk of corn, don't pollinate well, because the pollen, it needs the pollen from the stalk to fall down on the ears. If the wind's blowing, it blows away. Well,
which is why it's bad to plant it in a row.
Every single red ear that I remember harvesting was nice, full red. And it's always wondered me, and I still to this day have not figured out why that red corn stayed red year after year after year. I mean, it was literally every year for the 8 years I was in Ohio, I had grown that corn. I grew that red corn, and I would plant it sometimes. And so I have my own patch. For some years, I had my own patch I planted it in. And I planted these the Amish cornfield beans. They call them Amish knoddle, Schreiksbohne. They're a really good tasting bean, a real beany flavor. I would plant those on my corn stalks, and they would grow up and crawl on corn stalks, and it was a nice combination of this red corn and the beans. Well, oftentimes when I plant that red corn, I plant it next to cornfields that were yellow, and I also planted it sometimes in yellow cornfields, part of the row in red corn, and yet it always stayed red. And to this day, I'm still confused how that worked, because every other time I plant something like that together, they always cross up in the mix. You know, you'll see it, the crossing of the colors, and I don't know if anybody can have the answer to that. Why does that one corn not cross? Why does it stay red? It had a white interior, red outside. It was more like a dent corn, and it seemed overall similar in look to the sweet or to the regular field corn. I mean, you'd see the plants; they looked similar. There wasn't much of a difference in the size of the stalks, look of the stalk. See, I tried Indian corn, and Indian corn crosses horribly. I mean, if you plant Indian corn anywhere with close to yellow corn, you'll get a bunch of yellow pieces. That year you plant it, you'll get yellow kernels in your Indian corn. So when you open it up, you'll have the yellow kernels that got pollinated by the neighboring field corn. And to me, that's just, most corn does that. It's a common thing, but this specific corn never did it. And I've always wondered why. I still don't have the answer to that. One of these days, maybe I'll figure it out. Yeah, I might go out for a little walk eventually, but I was it's been a what? This is a beautiful day. My wife's making fun of me for stopping talking. Problem is, when I'm on a live stream and do something, I quit talking sometimes. Just forgive me for that. If you guys got any questions, just ask me, and I'll hope I see them. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna make the beams for the windmill out. I'll start with that. Yeah, so this last week my project was sticking on my lumber. Oh, what are you doing here? I need to get it all stick before it heated warmed up. It doesn't mold. See what happened? This stuff here I had stacked on top of each other and it got moldy. But yeah, I think I won't probably start the house till about probably in the summer. Hopefully I can get it started before hay season, but we'll see. I'd like to get at least this here. Let's see. I think this one here is mostly one by 1 foot wide white pine boards, and I got the 2x6s, 1x6, 1x5, and 2x8s. Mostly 2x8s there. Should be enough for the floor joists. They're 10 foot long. Well, it's sure nice weather today. Sun's out. Grass is growing. Leaves are coming out. I might have to disc this one time yet before we plant potatoes, but it's getting about time. Yeah. This soil stays pretty dry here. I'm thinking most likely next week we'll try the potatoes. We'll see how it goes. Now these mentioned in the chat, Oh, the hay mowers, Medina Farm. I like the International number 9s, or John Deere number 4. Main reason is you can still get parts for those a lot easier, I think, from the Amish. Price varies a lot. I haven't been able to find one myself. I'm looking for one myself, but they can be pretty pricey if they're fixed up in nice shape. But if they're old, you have been logging, cutting firewood and logs. Yeah, I got to get that pile cut up yet. I still got about 5 logs to pull out of here, I think. Hopefully I'll turn this section into pasture garden eventually, because this land up here where these trees are is sandy. That sandy soil is a lot better for growing a garden. Yeah, you hear our rooster crowing. He doesn't sound the same anymore. It sounds like a banty. He's really he's a big old rooster. Lost his voice. Hi. I didn't realize when I dropped that tree how close it came to my chicken house. Let's see. Yeah, that last tree went all the way over and just right behind the chicken house. That was pretty close. Hay mowers, keep an eye out on the wheels. If the little cogs on the wheel are worn down, it usually means they've had a lot of use. If you can find one with the little cogs pretty nice still, that means it's probably had very little use, which means the gears are usually better. Yeah, so I went to the yard sale with the neighbor and found this tiny plow. I'm trying to put it onto a beam for 1-horse plow. It's just tiny, but I thought, well, at least give me a project to work on. I need to find a beam to put on it yet, but seems to be in good shape. Yeah, so I got my first pull in for the windmill tower. I'm gonna put these telephone poles in first, then put the pine on top of them. I'm gonna build the windmill tower right up on this side of the barn and cover this section, close this section in. But we'll see. Tomorrow, I'm probably not sure I'll get it tomorrow. I might try to get the other 3 poles in. Boy, these things are heavy. These telephone poles, they aren't very easy to get picked up. And this one was real tricky to get up. I had to work pretty hard to get that one up there. Yeah, so I'm being prepared. I just feel like there's so much going on in the world today. We really need to be prepared to survive without the system. And you can see what's happening with the money system and the world in general. It just seems like we're headed for trouble. And I really want to be ready to survive without that stuff. And I hope all those people out there that can be ready too, to have their stuff in play order. They can to live without the gas motors, etc. All right, the roosters keep going. Let's see here. Yeah, so these pine boards, they're put on green and now they're shrinking, they're leaving little cracks. But it seems that when you put them on green like that, they get little cracks. And yeah, it is Pete. I know, that's what worries me. I feel kind of, in some ways I feel sad, but I also know the danger in the fact that they're going to be looking for food. They're going to be looking for a place to go. And a lot of people won't make it. And I know it sounds kind of doomsday talk, but the average person today isn't prepared to survive. And a lot of them say, well, I've got guns. Well, just having guns, all that makes you is maybe a raider. You need to have the ability to produce food to survive and you need land, community. I think the biggest thing I see missing is community. True, most people don't want to do the work. I think a lot of people would. Same here. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I'm still not the point I want to be. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, well, you're way better than most people." Yeah, I'm way better than most people, but you realize in reality how still dependent we are on the system. Because I mean, we buy gas. I use gas in the sawmill. We use gas in our generator to pump the water. Now I have a hand pump I could use. I wouldn't have to use gas, but it's just I find the same here. I think back in the day, 100 years ago, that almost every farm had farm help. You could hire a boy or a girl to help you on the farm. And now it's like to find help is really hard. Most younger kids don't want to work. And in the horse as possible. Yeah. That's important as well to me. And I think that's probably for being prepared. I think it's the knowledge of how to use them and how to repair them. How to make the parts we need. So I'm 42, and I can tell I'm older, but I feel like we're still not in our 80s yet, so we should be able to do quite a bit. Yeah, the garlic really doing well this year. I think I won't finish this corner here. I got some manure down. I want to finish the rest of it one of these days. I just haven't got to it yet. But boy, I think the garlic is going to do good this year. It's really growing. Like I said, if anybody comes and visits, I've got some little ones in there I can give away. Got a whole patch back there in the back of them. Little garlic. Yep. What are you doing? The hoot good, David. David. Hey. Come on. Yeah, our apple trees haven't flowered yet. We're still well, we got some buds on this tree here. I think it'll be a few days. Yeah, this apple tree's been here a long time. Yeah, sorry if I messed these up. 48. Yes, you're older, Pete. You're older than me, Pete. I'm 40. I'll be 43 this year. Yes, I got a question. Anybody on here know? I got this alternator. Does anybody know that if these alternators have to run at a certain speed to produce power, or 2%? Well, you take care. I wonder if I'm going to hook this up to the horsepower. Can I spin it at any speed, or does I have to spin it at another speed RPS enough to make power? I don't know. We got this one. I've just been throwing my stuff in here and not cleaning up. Yeah, this is the saw I was working on. Trying to clean up a bit. I really do need to clean my shop up. A lot of times I come in here and just set my stuff down. I try to keep some of the stuff hung up, but it's just yeah, this is what I want. grass. You can take a good beat and you can chop roots and leaves, those and leaves. Yeah, this grindstone here, I need to fix it up. I'm missing a part on that side of it. Well, I planted peas, but I don't see any peas coming up yet. I think the other day I checked them and they're sprouting, but it was a foot long, but it's missing the one side of the little arms broken or missing from the thing. I gotta make me another one. Probably go on the forge and forge me one of these days. I just haven't made a time for it. Seems like my other projects seem to take precedence over that. Yeah, this is a project I want to do. I want to use this tractor piece here for horsepower. What you got to do is you got to take the gear here and you drill through it, put a bolt in so it only turns one way. You can't, so it can't. What do they call that? So it can't. It usually one side will spin. If one side is stuck, the other side will spin. Well, you got to lock it up here in the center.
This is
And then you can use it to turn
a
line shaft. Put the pull on there and take your power out of either there or the
This is that.
PTO takeoff. Huh?
This is that.
The tractor?
This is that.
This is old Oliver.
Yeah, this is that.
It's an old Oliver tractor. I made my first horsepower out of an English tractor. It was I forget the name of it. It was an English tractor, and that thing was pretty decent. Could make pretty good power. You just put the horses on the pull on the tire side and turn around. What was that? Oh, my wife's teasing me. Yeah, so one of these days I'll get it hooked up. Hopefully, and we'll use it to maybe we'll use it to bale hay or grind grain or something. Who knows? Just for the fun of it. Or I might put it to a sawmill. There was one I used to work at a sawmill that ran off water, but what is that tractor? Yeah, the Amish use the tractor engines on wagons. But again, that takes diesel and gas. So my goal is to build all my stuff from things that don't need diesel or gas, and I can actually use either horses or cows or wind or water. I've never built a water wheel. I've always been intrigued by them. I went and looked at a few of them over the years. There was down in Bolivia, there was a place, Joe Byler. He had this water wheel. He ran his whole shop from this huge, gigantic, overshot water wheel he had, and it was just beautiful. I mean, he had built that thing all pretty much by hand. Wood. It was built of wood. He had the shop set up on a main drive shaft to come off the water power. The water power shaft came in. He had a belt down to a large pulley onto his drive shaft, and he was running. He had a planer, saw, drill presses. I mean, he had all kinds of tools hooked up along that line shaft coming to his shop. And they had upstairs, and they had a spot where he could store his lumber. I mean, he had everything set up to everything right off that water wheel. and he had taken the water wheel was actually built quite a ways away from the river, and he had taken and built himself a raceway, a board race. And upstream, he dammed the river a bit and took the race and diverted it over to his wheel. And he had that wheel at least 20 foot. It was at least 20 foot. And then they come overshot, come down, off the wheel. But he also built one in Tennessee down by in Loboville. He built one. And it was more like a turbine wheel or an undershot wheel. It didn't overshoot. I think the overshot wheels, I don't know, pretty the way they look, the water falling down on top. But being as I've never done it before, it'd be a little bit interesting to try. I'd just be nice if I had somebody who kind of had a little bit of a first-hand knowledge about it. But those people are getting hard to find. I mean, when's the last time you met someone who built a water wheel? At least I haven't. I haven't even met many people who build anything nowadays. Not from the average American. I mean, you got contractors to build houses, but like old style bridges and barns and windmills and water wheels. No, I don't. I've heard of Eric Sloan. I've never read any of his books. I feel like the people of 100 years ago, they seem to have been more, how would you say it? Well, I think that a lot of them didn't really realize what they had. They went more modern over the last 100 years and always pushing for an easier life and not realizing they were losing everything they had for self-sufficiency. Well, it's been about an hour. I see Pete's still here. We got Pete. Eric Sloan. Yeah, I've never seen his books. Let's look into it maybe. Oh, excuse me. Well, you guys take care. I'll see you next Saturday. I'm gonna get off here and let you guys go. And yeah, I'm not that far along yet. I'm still just working on wood for now. I hope one of these days I'll get more wood split and cut up, but so far I haven't got that far ahead yet. You guys all take care. Have a blessed day, and